merciless heart of the desert, where the sun burned like fire and death whispered in every hot wind, a lonely rancher made one choice that changed two broken lives forever. The desert stretched out like an endless sea of sand. The sun beat down so hard that even the lizards hid under rocks. Vultures circled high in the sky, their black wings cutting through the bright blue. Half buried in the hot sand lay a woman named Naya. Her body was covered in deep cuts and bruises. Sand stuck to her dark hair and torn clothes. She could barely breathe. Her lips were dry and cracked. She had been left here to die by her own Apache people. They had tied her hands and thrown her away like she was nothing. Now, pain filled every part of her body, and fear squeezed her heart. She thought this was the end. No one would come. No one ever did. Not far away, Caleb Hart rode his old horse slowly across the dry land. Caleb was a tall, quiet man with tired eyes and a face lined by years of sadness. He lived alone on a small ranch at the edge of the desert. His wife and little son had died in a terrible fever 3 years ago. After that, Caleb shut his heart away from the world. He spoke to no one. He worked from morning till night just to forget the empty house and the silent nights. His life felt like the desert, empty, hot, and hopeless. That day, his horse suddenly stopped and snorted. Caleb looked around. Something felt wrong. He climbed down and walked toward a small hill of sand. His boots sank deep with every step. Then he saw her. Naya lay there, still as stone. At first, he thought she was dead. His heart twisted with old pain. He had seen death before, too many times. But then her fingers moved, just a little. She was alive. Caleb stood there for a long moment. His mind raced. If he left her, he would stay safe. No trouble, no danger. But if he took her home, everything could change. The Apache and white men did not trust each other. Helping her might bring enemies to his door. Yet deep inside, something stirred. It was the last piece of kindness he still had left. He could not leave her to the vultures, not like this. With gentle hands, he lifted her from the sand. She was lighter than he expected, but her body burned with fever. He wrapped her in his blanket and tied her carefully to the horse. The ride back to his small wooden house felt long. Caleb's heart pounded with worry. "What am I doing?" he whispered to himself. But he kept going. When they reached the ranch, Caleb carried her inside. He laid her on his own bed, cleaned her wounds with cool water, and gave her sips of water from a cup. For 3 days, Naya stayed unconscious. Caleb sat by her side at night, watching her breathe. Memories of his wife flooded back. He felt the old loneliness like a heavy stone in his chest. But he also felt something new, hope, small and scared, like a candle in the dark. On the 4th morning, Naya's eyes opened. She looked around wildly. Fear flashed across her face. She tried to sit up but fell back with a cry of pain. She spoke in Apache words, fast and angry. Caleb did not understand a single word. He raised his hand slowly to show he meant no harm. "Easy," he said in a soft voice. "You're safe here." Naya did not trust him. She refused to eat the food he brought. She watched him with sharp eyes, ready to fight if he came too close. Days passed like this. Caleb left water and bread near her bed and stepped away. He worked outside, fixing fences and feeding his animals, but his thoughts stayed with the strange woman in his house. He felt scared, too. What if her people came looking? What if she hated him? Little by little, things changed. One evening, Caleb brought her a bowl of warm soup. He sat on a chair far from the bed and ate his own food slowly. Naya watched him. Her stomach growled. Finally, she took the bowl with shaking hands and ate. That small moment felt like the first crack in a thick wall. They still could not speak with words, but they began to speak with eyes and simple signs. She pointed to herself and said, "Nia." Caleb smiled for the first time in years. "Caleb," he answered, touching his chest. From then on, they used hands and faces to talk. Nia showed him how to tie a bandage better. Caleb showed her how to drink from the well without spilling. In the quiet evenings, they sat on the porch and watched the sunset paint the sky orange and pink. Caleb felt his frozen heart begin to warm. Nia, who had known only pain and betrayal, started to feel safe for the first time since her people had thrown her away. One night, Nia's face grew serious. She pointed outside and made signs of men on horses chasing her. Her eyes filled with tears. Caleb understood. Someone was hunting her. Danger was coming. His stomach tightened with fear, but he touched her shoulder gently. "I won't let them hurt you," he said, even though she could not understand the words. She looked at him with deep thanks, and for the first time, she let herself cry in front of him. Caleb held her hand. In that moment, they were no longer stranger and stranger. They were two hurt souls holding on to each other. The attack came at dawn. Hooves thundered like storm clouds. 10 Apache warriors on fast horses rode straight toward the house, shouting war cries. Arrows whistled through the air. Bullets cracked against the wooden walls. Caleb grabbed his rifle and fired back from the window. His hands shook, but he kept shooting. He was one man against many. Then Nia stood up. Pain still burned in her body, but fire burned in her eyes. She was no longer the weak woman in the bed. She was a warrior again. She picked up Caleb's extra gun and stood beside him. Back to back, they fought. Caleb felt her strength beside him, and it gave him courage he had not felt in years. Nia's heart swelled with a new feeling. Someone was fighting for her, not against her. Together they pushed the attackers back. The warriors rode away, but their angry shouts promised they would return. That same night, by the light of a small lamp, Nia told her story with signs and broken English words she had learned from Caleb. Her own tribe had ordered her to kill the children of their enemy. She could not do it. Killing innocent children felt wrong in her soul. So they called her a traitor and left her in the desert to die. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she spoke. Caleb's heart broke for her. He pulled her close and whispered, "You did the right thing. You have a good heart." A few days later, the final moment came. The Apache elders arrived with the warriors. They stood tall and proud outside the house. The old chief spoke in a strong voice. "Nia must die," he said, "to bring honor back to the tribe." Nia stepped forward. Her shoulders were straight, but her eyes showed deep sadness. She was ready to accept death if it meant peace. Caleb's blood ran cold. He could not lose her now. Not after everything. He walked out and stood in front of Nia. His voice was loud and clear. "She is my wife," he said. "I claim her as my own. No one will touch her." The words shocked everyone. Nia turned to him with wide eyes full of love and surprise. The elders were silent for a long time. Then the old chief nodded slowly. The law of the land and the old ways allowed it. Nia's life was spared. That night, under a sky full of bright stars, Nia and Caleb sat on the porch. The desert air was cool and peaceful. Nia looked at him with tears shining in her eyes. "Why?" she asked softly. "Why did you risk everything for me?" Caleb took her hand. His voice was thick with emotion. "If I had left you to die in that sand, the last good part of me would have died too. You saved me, Nia, just as much as I saved you. My heart was empty for so long. Now it feels full again because of you." They sat together in the quiet, two lonely people who had found a new home in each other. The desert still stretched wide and wild around them, but inside the small ranch house, love had grown stronger than any fear, stronger than any enemy, stronger than the burning sun itself. And for the first time in years, both of them believed tomorrow would be better. If this story touched your heart even a little, if it made you pause and feel something real for a moment, I have a small request. Please take a second to visit my Facebook page and leave a rating and a review. Your support truly means everything. It helps me keep bringing you more powerful, emotional stories like this. And if you're still here, tell me in the comments, where are you listening from?